Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary, after considering some 6,500 public comments, the Trump administration issued a final supplemental environmental impact statement to raise Shasta Dam by 18.5 feet. This long overdue proposal would store enough water to support more than 3 million Californians annually, allowing for storage in wet years so that we have it in dry ones like the one we're currently suffering. Would you commit to moving forward with the Shasta Dam raise?
Thank you very much. I will have to take that question back to the department, and my staff will be in touch with you and your office, sir.
As you know, it is desperately needed. We had record rainfall a few years ago, and we had to open the dams and release that water because we had no place to store it. The Shasta was designed to be 800 feet of elevation. It's currently 600 feet. So this raise is about 700,000 acre feet of water, and it's been languishing for many, many decades now. In fact, your budget request includes no funding for new water storage capacity, despite the severe drought conditions that we're suffering in the West. I wonder, how can the administration expect to address our Western water crisis without proposing any funding for long-term water storage?
Congressman, thank you so much. Water storage is absolutely one of the tools that we are looking at with respect to water conditions and drought in the West, and I appreciate you raising that, and very happy to follow up with you on that specific issue.
Okay, I've just raised two critical questions for the people of the Western United States, and I've gotten answers to neither of those questions, and they are simple and fundamental to the responsibilities of this government. Let me try a third time. Earlier this year, more than 200 Western water, agriculture, and urban organizations sent a letter to Congress and to the White House requesting an all-of-the-above approach to funding Western water infrastructure to be included in any infrastructure stimulus package. The reclamation provisions of the Winn Act expire this year. Do you support Winn Act reauthorization?
Yes, the Winn Act has been very helpful to many communities.
So the administration will support its full reauthorization?
Let's see. We're working to send recommendations to the Energy and Water Subcommittee pursuant to the 2016 Winn Act to allocate funding for water storage, desalinization, and water recycling.
All right, thank you. I've heard from a number of constituents who are upset with the reservation system for Yosemite National Park. The National Park Service is requiring reservations to enter the park through September 30th, citing COVID, despite the fact that California is now fully reopened and the science demonstrates that COVID does not spread outdoors. Will you commit to ending the reservation system and restoring full public access to the park?
I appreciate the question. Of course, we would certainly, I feel it's my duty to make sure we're consulting with folks on the ground, and certainly we would talk to the superintendent of that park and be happy to have the conversin.
Well, these restrictions continue to have devastating impact on the gateway communities that depend upon tourist travel to Yosemite for their very economic existence.
Yes, thank you.
One of the goals that we set in the majority was to restore the federal government as a good neighbor to the communities that are directly impacted by the federal lands. Consulting the superintendent is not consulting the communities. I will assure you the communities are in desperate need of lifting these restrictions, which have no foundation at all in science.
Well, Congressman, if I may, I am pleased overall with President Biden's work to help make sure that our country is getting vaccinated, and I know that things are definitely
but that has nothing to do with the science that has clearly shown that COVID very, very rarely spreads outdoors. In fact, by ordering people indoors, I think that the government made a huge mistake. But we can discuss that later. One more question. You claim to prioritize wildland fire risk, but earlier this year, the administration endorsed the Protecting America's Wilderness and Public Lands Act, which would add 1.5 million new acres of wilderness. Over the past 10 years, nearly 7 million acres of wilderness and wilderness study areas have burned in catastrophic wildfires and may jump into other federal, state, and private lands where they cause even more destruction. I wonder, how can this administration claim to be serious about wildland fire management when you're endorsing policies that tie the hands of federal land managers and prevent necessary treatments of our public lands that are so desperately needed?